Okay, I think it's going now. This is Drug on Words in a different tuning. It's D, G, D, G, A, D. Dig Dad. I saw the helicopters flying last night. They were looking in my windows with invisible light. I used to be a hero on the foreign shore, but now I'm just a suspect in drug on wars. I hear you well, George Orwell. I hear you well, George Orwell. They say the only thing to do is fight, like it's everybody's duty when they know they're right. So close the curtains and lock the front door. Everybody is a suspect in drug on wars. I hear you well, George Orwell. I hear you well, George Orwell. Got the weapons and we've got to attack and learn how to use them if they don't shoot back. Isn't hard to find someone to hate when the enemy's your brother and your mother's the state. Should have seen it coming right from the start, said the ghost of Woody Guthrie to the ghost of Karl Marx. Traded our overalls for three-piece suits, gave a whip to Lady Liberty and thigh-high leather boots. I hear you well, George Orwell. I hear you well, George Orwell. I learned to listen from the merchants of fear. You got to watch what you say, 'cause they record what they hear. They've got a number if you're something to tell. It's 1-800 I see you well, and I can hear you well, George Orwell. I hear you well, George Orwell. Saw the helicopters flying last night. They were looking in my windows with invisible light. I used to be a hero on a foreign shore. Now I'm just a suspect in drug on wars. I hear you well, George Orwell. I hear you well, George Orwell. I hear you well, George Orwell.